Investigation, at least at the time, was handed over to us by a friend of mine. What had happened, we've had this family ranching in this area for over, oh goodness, 20 years, near the Calderas in New Mexico. And these calderas, what they are is, when the volcanoes erupted and everything else, we've got an area that filled in after the volcanoes. You've got a lot of bowls in different areas with volcanic rock and some open grazing areas, some trees, some ponderosas. In some situations, if you're high enough up, you've got some alpine situations with cedar, juniper, aspen, trees of that nature. So you've got a kind of a mixed conifer going on. Going back to this family, they've been running cattle up there off and on for 20 years. They also run cattle up in the Chuska over by the Tohatchee area. This area in particular, they've been having lots of predation happening. The information I was given beforehand, before going there, was that typically they had a rogue male harassing the family. After arriving on scene into this direct area, we found out that the elk herd that had been gone for over 20 years was back. And with the elk herd comes the elk herders. These are the livestock of the furry people. They raise them from babies. They take care of them like the cattle, like the sheep. It's their livestock. We find out the elk herd is 2.5 miles away, so we've got some extra furry people in the area. Also, we find out that we've got whisper choppers in the area. This is some type of government top secret something going on. They actually saw people in uniforms sitting in the helicopter doors, resting their feet on the skids as they flew over, very quietly, very covertly, very silently. So a lot of the photos that this family showed us are reminiscent of cattle mutilations we've seen up by Dulce. They're reminiscent of cattle mutilations we've seen on the San Luis Plain up in Colorado. Reminiscent of some other cattle mutilation photos we've seen across the country, where they're removing part of the facial features, some of the glands and so forth, typically removing the tongue, removing the anus and so forth from the animal. This would be something else. We've also got ultra-terrestrial activity in this area. Many sightings of strange flying craft, UFOs if you will. We've also got reports, especially from the father in the area, of an upright walking dogman type entity with ears sticking up, fully mobile on 2 feet. This area in particular would be a really rough place to try to run cattle and try to make a living off of cattle. By association, this family's blaming particularly one individual that they saw, the daughters that they saw when he was about 4 feet tall. This is 5 years later. He's about 8 feet tall now. And by association, they're blaming him for a lot of the different things that are going on with the cattle and the sheep. That it's not necessarily so. There's too many other factors involved in this to pin the tail on one particular situation.
Well, what strikes me the most is you have a family that's been living on that property for 20 plus years. In the past 5 years, they started having difficulty. They started having problems with beasts coming around and making their lives miserable, stalking them, killing their livestock, and of course it's intensified just in the past 5 years. And these are people that live off the land. They understand and they can tell things that change around them. And so, I mean, they're familiar with all the wild animals that live around the area, for something else has come in now that has absolutely spooked them.
Frantic?
Frantic. A real sense of urgency. As they were showing me the photographs, the older one, the 21-year-old, seemed to be notably upset. And there was a sense of urgency for something to be done for the problem to be taken care of. Now that's backdrop.
That's backdrop. Sitting here at, I believe, 9,400 feet. Not much air.
Weird.
Det is unique. Inte det då anledningen short lecture.
Truck it a long ways.
Yeah. So a lot of that would be reminiscent of a cougar attack.
Yeah.
And some of it's not. I think we're dealing with about 3 or 4 different things up here.
Det står där hur det
Ooh.
Oh.
Here's the hand.
Yep.
Det är där han tittar lite bara nu så. Det är inte
This is the bedding.
Yeah, that's where the little ones were going to preschool. Seriously.
Huh.
A bunch of little ones.
Yeah, the lady said she saw two different footprints. They're like number Sean.
So.
That's some weird scat.
Yeah.
One of the 3 things I look for when I go out onto an investigation involving the furry people, the first thing is I would be looking for a rogue male. The second thing I would be looking for is an attachment to a family member. And of course the third thing is show me the calories. What became very obvious right away, talking about the one particular individual that was hanging around the ranch, is that he did indeed have an attachment to the 2 young ladies who lived there, as if they'd grown up together. It was a really weird thing, and they were not comfortable with that at all.
I believe the way the Bigfoot is attracted to these girls across the way there, across the meadow, he is more like trying to impress them, so that the 2 girls can get to like him. So they're trying to do manly things like destroying corrals or killing some animals. And just like, like a teenager would do that. They would go out for football, basketball, some manly stuff, to impress the girlfriend.
So in his mind, the goofy stuff he's doing is to show his strength.
Is to kind of showing off,
Well, they don't appreciate it.
No, but he's of a different variety of a creature, so it would be weird to be walking down the street with somebody like that.
Yeah, he wouldn't be a real good prom date, would he?
No, sir.
Looks like a little 2-track trail, but it isn't a 2-track trail. These are the hind legs of the cow being dragged behind the front legs. The front legs are in the air somehow, some way, and the cow's being dragged here. Very strange.
The legs are still apart. Look at the legs. Cow's legs.
had a few weeks to kind of decompress and discuss some of the situations that happened up at the Caldera. What are your feelings on the whole situation coming from there now that you've had time to think about it?
The situation is the following. There's something out there that's got a connection to them two girls that live out there on the ranch, and no means of protection around the house. That's kind of weird to me, kind of odd. Being a rancher way out there where they are, I would have at least a 12 gauge, and my awareness would be heightened. I mean, I would walk around the perimeter at the ranch every morning, checking for new clues, and I probably would be sitting out on the porch at night and trying to figure out what's going on.